Hello viewers and welcome to another episode of Lancer Custom Works, where I will be discussing the various mech builds you could make and play with Lancer. In today's Encore edition episode where we pay attention to some of the older frames we have reviewed before, SSC, Part 2, featuring Monarch, Dancer of the Boreal Valley, and Swallowtail. Let's start with the missile boat first. Monarch knows where you are by knowing you aren't dead yet, just like the rest of SSC lineup. Even as a size 2, the Monarch is incredibly fast while being able to pack loads of firepower, though the horse is still faster, which is good because Monarch has traits that just give you more damage by shooting good, or if you are using launcher with lock-on covering the battlefield, your damage is never getting reduced, and that's not even getting into Monarch's core power yet. Also, 15 sensor range because the Monarch isn't bullshit enough. It's good at a lot of things, maybe not as good at taking a hit compared to the IPSN frame, but as a size 2, it certainly can. Taking Stormbringer is recommended, but also, if you or your teammate aren't really gonna throw lock-on around, taking other ranged weapons for other ranged talent is just fine too. I would also suggest Tactician because if you are playing Monarch, half the time you gonna be flying anyway, so might as well get more free shooting with it. Anyway, let's take a look at its builds, starting with Liger tail because of course, it's a Noah Defender Monarch, with a side of Enclave and Stasis Bolt to guard allies with, plus Orator to give your defending turn even more support capacity. When it comes to shooting, there's nothing special, but Heavy Gunner Gandiva will definitely hurt. It's a simple build to start this list with. Next there's... Yeah, whatever, I'm skipping this. Living up to its oppressive long name that I ain't putting into the description down below because YouTube is only giving me 5,000 letter count. This flying Monarch is oppressive as hell. Burst launcher, Veil rifle, Opcal Gandiva with Stormbringer pinballing people all over the place, and when they try to shoot you up, they can't, because you have 16 evasion, flicker field, and reactive weave if that's not enough. Nightreign is a Monarch that's more about Dakka. Legion battle rifle is pretty good, especially with Opcal and Crackshot for more damage and status, and Heavy Gunner and TLALOC to shoot even more. If you are wondering where did the systems point went to, this build also has triple Oracle to poke at people at a distance, so just keep your distance and hammer everything down at range. Your friendly Medusa next door is a SCYLLA Defender Monarch that wants to fire Blackspot off turn as much as possible for all the lock-on, which is very good for Monarch. Add in Heavy Gunner Gandiva, and this is gonna hurt a lot. However, I need to clarify that half damage is not damage being reduced, it's just half, and therefore seeking payload doesn't cancel it. It sure as heck gonna cancel any armor in the way though. Next there's Toyota Hilux, a Battletaxi Monarch fully intended to carry its spotter buddy for maximum lock-on. It even has bonded and houseguard to support its buddy better in a symbiotic teamwork. Just keep firing the autopod and hammer URPL and you and your buddy will be having good time. The cannon mounted at the top of the stairs loaded with Grape shot is a Leviathan Monarch that wants to sit down in a bunker and shoot at anything that gets too close to it and its allies. With TLALOC, even if you miss, reliable is gonna hurt, and with Field Analyst and Argonaut shield, your allies will be safe. And these two also triggers Houseguard 3 for more pain. Pretty good. Vessel is an Iconoclast Monarch that wants to shoot free action death beam and autoguns on its turn, because all it will be doing is using SISYPHUS to try to roll for 20 for ungodly amount of missile spam. It's a completely insane idea, and that's exactly why it's here. Vigilante is another flying Monarch, here to absolutely bombard the hell out of the enemies with boatload of missiles, or Demolitionist spear charges from Gilgamesh because it's just more rockets. And with Ace and Speed 7, this Monarch can pick any fight it wants and get out of any it doesn't. 4 charges of ERM will keep it alive, just use it like how aircraft would use flares. And finally, there's Reinhardt with missiles. Oh my god, Overwatch is actually relevant at something, a Battletaxi Monarch with all the missiles, defensive and support talents, and one weird idea, supposedly, because Stasis Barrier is a deployable, it's also an object, it's line 4, so it's technically a size 4 object. Which means according to the rule, Monarch can drag this thing around like a giant mobile cover. This is a wild and rare interaction to say the least. Whether the rule actually works like this, I'm not sure, but I would allow it because you are only just dragging around a piece of cover while being slowed, and it being a gigantic line 4 means that sometimes the terrain will not allow you to move it anyway. Playing Monarch means you will be going fast while packing enough heat to wipe out a small town over. What else is there to say? It's pretty good at shooting things apart at range, and can send out tech just as far with its crazy sensor range, and with lock-on, even not being able to see the enemies no longer matter, because you know where the enemies are by knowing where they aren't. Next up, Mourning Cloak, the assassin that likes to sneak up on lonely target, because that's how you get bonus damage. This is supposed to give Mourning Cloak a damage advantage even without a heavy mount, and then Dusk Grave appears. Its second trait lets you dodge grenades or nuclear explosion better, which is good. It's also good for Infiltrator Mourning Cloak to make enemies fail at searching you even more, assuming the GM actually does that and not immediately calls artillery strike on your position. Even Mourning Cloak systems and core power are built to avoid confrontation unless you want one with someone alone. An Infiltrator Mourning Cloak is pretty terrifying. It also has 15 sensor range, because the intended play for Mourning Cloak is a hack and slasher. Investing in Horus license just for thinking tomorrow's thought can be quite good for Mourning, though of course, you can also do other things well with Mourning Cloak because 15 sensor range is 15 fucking sensor range. With how much Mourning likes melee attack, Duelist and Hunter are pretty good talents for it. For more options, attacks, or movement, Combined Arms is good for shooty Mourning Cloak too, though with the existence of Dust Grave, the fact that you can now consider getting Executioner for Mourning Cloak is a pretty terrifying thought to have, and of course, Infiltrator is a good choice for Mourning too, if you do plan to sneak around. Anyway, let's start things off with Minecraft Horror Mod, a TTT hack and slash Mourning Cloak with a side of Kobold, because guess what, Kobold invade systems let you force enemies to move away from each other or explode, and then cut by you with unreducible damage anyway. It's not just immolate or purifying code either. This Mourning has plenty of invade options to use for any situations, and it can move fast with Pancrathy and Skirmisher to kill, pretty damn lethal. And in Unlovable Hand, is a Vanguard Mourning Cloak with dual DSAS, ready to catch anyone moving within threat 3, with integrated Fold Knife and Hunter 1, you can move pretty damn fast, and if your prey is alone, that knife can hit pretty hard. Flicker Field will keep you alive at close range where you will thrive, and if you do get hit, Singularity Motivator will get you out safely. Proxy Collapse, is a Mourning Cloak that sneakily hide and then support allies like a friendly phantom, with either SysOp Bolster which is very powerful, or Fabi for tech support, Imperial Eye to keep enemies away, and Shaneme for overshield. As it turns out, 15 sensor range is really incredibly powerful for this kind of thing, and if all else fail, just invade and stab people. Dancer of the Super Heavy Mounting, is of course, a Tempest Charged Blade Mourning Cloak, with Hunter trait, that's 4d6 plus 4 AP worth of damage, and between Speed 7, Kai Bioplating, Reactive Weave, and JK1, this Mourning can move like crazy. It's also, obviously, half Atlas, with Terashima Blade and JK2 to duel everything, and to top it all off, it also has Hunter and a Fold Knife, just for even more mobility. It's insane to say the least. Cartoon Physics, is another one of the Dust Grave Super Heavy Mourning Cloak, this time with DD288, you turn invisible with Hunter logic to your target or just hide with Infiltrator, charge up the fist, use Fade Cloak to get besides your target, and then turn tangible to punch them for 7d6 plus 8 worth of damage and all the knockback. Suffice to say, that's really painful. Dead or Alive You Are Mine, is a Opcal Fusion Rifle Mourning Cloak with a neat trick. If the enemy is too close, fire Vijaya Rocket with Lightning Stormbringer to create distance to blast for big damage. If enemy is at long enough range, use Thunder to isolate them instead before using Hunter to get close and throw the integrated Fold Knives for big damage, and you would still have one action left, so use it for invade or support with your tech systems for more pain to your foes. Solitary Sauna, is a very normal Mourning Cloak except now it has the Super Thermal Blade with Nuclear Cavalier that also wants to OC loop to explode for something like 4d6 plus 8 heat and 2 burn worth of damage. That's gonna hurt to say the least. You also have Utility Drone to make enemies fail more often rolling against burn, just to rub it in even more. E-Warfare powered by My Bad Rolls, is a Mourning Cloak with a side of support. Stormbringer Vijaya Rocket is a nice tool to either create distance between everything, which is very useful for Mourning Cloak straight, and when you are done meleeing around, specifically with a Warpike that can do something like 4d6 worth of damage, you can support allies with Pebcock and impair enemies easily with Orator 1 scan, all thanks to the power of 15 sensor range. And finally, there's 6, the Lovers, a half-white witch Mourning Cloak that wants to keep isolated enemies immobilized so it can keep shotgun blasting their face again and again, with hyperdense armor for protection because with speed 6, you don't need to care about being slowed. Mourning Cloak, is truly the assassin that's all about isolating your foes to cut them down one by one with big damage, which is made easier with the power of 15 goddamn sensor range, allowing it to be real oppressive with tech action or do something else with it. It's a frame that requires a different strategy mindset from pure controller and striker builds, but it can certainly do both at once pretty damn well. And lastly, there's Swallowtail, the all-knowing scout, that can turn invisible from doing nothing, and if it stares at people really hard it can find gaps in armor and pierce right through it. This is further helped by the fact that it has 20 goddamn sensor range, and of course, there's so many ways to get lock on these days. Swallowtail's second trait is really supposed to be a support trait, but really, lots of people are using it to complement their attack, and it really got worse after Dustgrave is out. There's no getting around that. Hacker, sysop, orator, field analyst, there's a lot of support or sensor related talents you can use with this thing to further boost your capability in support and attack. It really mostly depend on what you want to do, but with 20 sensor range and 2 weapon mounts, let's just say there's a lot you can do. Infiltrator is another good talent for Swallowtail, if you do want to sneak around. Anyway, let's start things off with forward operation base, a Legion Nexus Swallowtail as expected, which is vastly helped by its 20 sensor range and traits, as well as Siege Stabilizer, turning it into an incredibly long-range hard-to-kill unit, and when you want to go on the support, Retractable Profile is here to make you even harder to get killed while letting your allies crit and see everything. Passive Perception is an interesting half-lich Swallowtail that can use Athena for all the lock-on, haste to move things faster, and anti-linear time to eat up a conditions from an ally from 20 spaces away, enough distance to render it not mattering to you. There's even Black Thumb to cool down any nearby ally, and when GM is pissed off at you for being so helpful, just retract inward like a turtle and hide and run. Thinking with Portal is a Swallowtail with god know how many tech action to use. You can set up Dominion on yourself, walk straight in front of the enemies, and then teleport a frontliner ally to trigger it and then also send yourself back to safety. This build is just excellent at controlling the movements of everything, and can still throw out lock-on like nothing else. Close enough, Welcome Back Hollow Purple, is a Swallowtail that extends the range of its fusion rifle to a ludicrous degree for max damage at max range every turn, all while being a tough nut to crack by not moving and turning invisible with LBOC field, plus BT to cool down as needed, and if something wants to get close, just horo-s them. Nobody Expects the Blinding Crab is an infiltrator Swallowtail with Ghost Weave and LBOC field for even more invisibility. Just rush in with a slow speed 7 with all your striker allies being invisible too to give the enemies a really bad day, while also using Athena and Sysop to provide support to see everything as needed. Phantom Fist is another striker Swallowtail, this time with a lot of power knuckles to shred anyone that got locked on, and seek to cross the vast distance by just teleporting via beacon and a ton of health, plus infiltrator to hide as needed. Nothing really interesting, but it can certainly keep its fists on longer with armament redundancy. Knife to Meet You is a Swallowtail that likes knives a lot, that also explodes with Molten Wreath, meaning the knives are also unmissable shotguns. What you do is simple, lock on or use Athena to shred in or a bunch of enemies, hopefully grouped up, and then stab float the shit out of them. That should be a lot of damage. Firing into the Moonlight is a siege cannon Swallowtail to pair with its insane sensor range. Just sit down, set up an autoloader, and then turn invisible to be a hard target to deal with, while also throwing support at a crazy distance whenever possible. And lastly, there's B-Movie GIF. God, I don't want to remember that catastrophe. It's just the classic gunslinger Swallowtail that can use lock-on to render armor ineffective, with SCYLLA to spam the heck out of these unreducible attack and Wandering Nightmare to shut down enemy reaction in turn, but now with Iconoclast to shoot Death Beam and also float threateningly, just a small incremental boost to your potential damage plus some more. Shredding enemies to ignore their armor and resistance with just a lock-on a platform with 20 sensor range is pretty good to say the least, especially one that can also just be unseen by sitting down and doing nothing. Swallowtail is definitely a frame that can do a lot of things, except maybe tanking, maybe. And that's about it for this round of Lancer Custom Works Encore. Once again, I would like to thank all of my viewers who have submitted their builds for this episode. I think the true summary of this episode is that anything with 15 sensor range and more is fucking bullshit. Anyway, for the next round of contests, it's back to the Harrison Armory, Part 2, featuring Saladin, Sherman, and Tokugawa. What's next after this one? Guess I will have to figure it out soon enough. Anyway, that's all for now, and I will see you all next time. Hello there, if you like this video, please subscribe and click that notification bell button. If you want to see the videos early as well as further support my channel, you can join in my Patreon page, or buy me some coffee, links in the description. Anyway, have a nice day.